Costco chaos, kilometres of gridlock.
It's just crazy.
As shoppers waited hours to get in the doors.
Completely impatient. Like, you had to hold your ground.
2.5 hours almost.
Consumer confidence just saw its biggest drop since August 2021. Intel is cutting 15,000 jobs. Costco foot traffic is down 2.3%. Spending on essentials is up 4.3%, but electronics have plunged by 6.8%. A chilling warning from Costco's earnings report. Costco's Q2 2025 earnings came with a surprise, and not the good kind. Yes, revenue rose by 4.2%, but same-store sales, the key measure of real performance, only grew 1.7%, well below the expected 3.5%. The result? A near-instant backlash from investors. But here's where it gets serious. Customer visits dropped 2.3%, the first decline in nearly 4 years. Even more worrying, renewals for executive memberships fell by 2 percentage points, now sitting at 90%. Remember, membership fees make up 75% of Costco's operating income. If loyal customers hesitate, this business model begins to wobble. Consumers are clamping down hard. What are Americans buying now? Not TVs, not new appliances, they're buying groceries, paper towels, basic goods. Essential spending is up 4.3%. Big ticket and electronic sales are down 6.8%. 58% of shoppers are buying fewer non-essentials than they did 6 months ago. 72% now consider warehouse memberships a necessity, not a luxury. This isn't just penny pinching, it's a clear shift in mindset, from comfort spending to financial defense mode. And it's happening across all income levels. Costco's value fortress is under pressure. For years, Costco's value-driven model was bulletproof. $1.50 hot dog and soda combo, $4.99 rotisserie chicken Kirkland signature products that beat national brands on both quality and price. With 850 global locations, including 591 in the US, Costco thrived on everyday low pricing and stock up and save events. But now, shoppers are buying less, even when the price is right. Smaller carts, fewer visits, less urgency to stock up. The message is clear. Even unbeatable value loses its pull when wallets are tightening. A retail crisis sweeping the nation. Costco's not alone. The retail sector is flashing red. Bed Bath & Beyond, from 1,500 stores to under 350. 45 more closing. Soon Best Buy, 3,500 layoffs. Gap Inc., 400 job cuts. Walgreens, shutting 1,200 stores over the next 3 years. And it's not just retail. Intel is slashing 15,000 jobs. Goldman Sachs is cutting 3,200 positions. Hasbro is letting go of 1,900 employees. Meanwhile, the Consumer Confidence Index just logged its third straight monthly decline, the steepest since August 2021. The Wells Fargo Housing Index fell to 35, from 51 just 6 months ago, reflecting fears of high interest rates and shrinking affordability. This isn't a slowdown. It's a broad-based economic retreat. How Americans are trying to stay financially safe. People are adjusting quickly and wisely, eliminating high-interest debt, building emergency savings, diversifying investments across safer assets. More households are moving 5 to 10% of portfolios into precious metals like gold and silver. Income-producing real estate is gaining attention, as are dividend-paying stocks with predictable cash flow. Among those responding fastest, 77% of Gen X and 81% of baby boomers plan to cut spending further in the coming months. Meanwhile, younger generations may struggle more, with fewer savings and more emotional spending habits.
Less than 2 seconds to hit 100 kilometers per hour. Over 20,000 revolutions per minute in a motor that makes no sound. Tesla didn't just unveil a new motor. They're rewriting the rulebook of the electric vehicle industry. A breakthrough from carbon fiber and boundary-pushing speed. Tesla's latest motor isn't a minor upgrade. It's a full-on revolution in design. At the core is a carbon-wrapped rotor, a material that is ultralight, highly durable, and capable of withstanding extreme forces at very high speeds. In traditional electric motors, the metal core tends to expand and warp under high-speed operation and constant heat. But with Tesla's carbon wrap, the motor core stays perfectly stable, even under intense centrifugal force and thermal stress. As a result, the motor breaks past 20,000 RPM, a number even elite supercar brands never dared to target. This not only boosts vehicle speed, but also reduces wear and dramatically extends motor lifespan. Faster and more efficient than ever. The numbers aren't just impressive, they're real. Vehicles equipped with this new motor can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 2 seconds. That's faster than nearly every gasoline-powered supercar on the planet. But beyond speed, the real innovation lies in how little energy it consumes to maintain peak performance. This system operates with extremely high efficiency. It converts nearly all electrical energy into movement, minimizes heat loss, and eliminates the need for bulky cooling systems. A cost advantage and mass production. Tesla's real advantage doesn't just lie in engineering, but in scaling that engineering for mass production. The new motor uses fewer rare earth materials, avoids complex mechanical assemblies, and can be produced faster and cheaper than traditional EV motors. Tesla's factories are optimized for this efficiency, from gigacasting to robotics to vertically integrated supply chains. Everything is monitored and adjusted in real time using advanced software and sensor data. While other automakers still rely on third-party suppliers for key components, Tesla controls most of its inputs, processes, and systems internally. As a result, Tesla can not only make a better motor, but also sell it at a more competitive price. While rivals struggle, Tesla moves into the next era. While legacy automakers like Ford and GM are still navigating their transition to electric vehicles, and while startups like Lucid and Rivian struggle to scale production, Tesla is preparing to bring a new technology into mass production. Tesla isn't adapting an old model. They built everything from the ground up for the electric era. Traditional brands often retrofit gasoline vehicle frames into EVs. That adds weight, reduces efficiency, and complicates production. In contrast, Tesla's cars, batteries, motors, and software are designed as a unified whole, from blueprint to showroom. Tesla is more than a car company. It's a global ecosystem. Each gigafactory isn't just a factory, it's a machine that builds machines. From high-pressure casting and non-stop robotic production to real-world data feedback from millions of miles driven, Tesla constantly improves its own manufacturing model. Complementing this is the 4680 battery cell, lighter, cheaper, higher in energy density, and perfectly compatible with the new motor. Their self-driving system, trained on data from real drivers around the world, doesn't depend on static maps. It learns and adapts to every road and situation. The future is already on the road. These breakthroughs don't just make a better car. They represent a new model of operation, one that's intelligent, efficient, and globally scalable. Tesla is expanding into new markets like India, the Middle East, and South America. While others manage massive recalls manually, Tesla solves issues with a single update. With a motor that is stronger, lighter, smarter, more affordable, and built for scale, Tesla is setting the new global standard for what the future of automotive technology should be.
Donald Trump has told a rally at a U.S. steel plant in Pennsylvania that he intends to double U.S. steel import tariffs to 50%. The president said the increase would offer the country's steel industry more security and vowed to stop any countries getting around the new rate.
We are going to be imposing a 25% increase. We're going to bring it from 25% to 50%, the tariffs on steel into the United States of America, which will even further secure the steel industry in the United States. Nobody's going to get around that.
Steel tariffs rise 50%. 5 U.S. giants halt lines, raise prices, cut production. Ready to discover why? Steel tariff policy and the unstable context. Did you know? The U.S. steel import tariff has surged to 50% in a short time. This major decision aims to protect the domestic steel industry from massive pressure by cheap imports. But has everything gone as planned? In reality, instead of stabilizing steel development, this tariff policy has thrown many big companies into turmoil, facing unprecedented difficulties. Not stopping there, the government has delayed imposing a 50% tariff on goods from the European Union due to stalled trade talks with no progress in sight. So, what do you think when a policy meant to be a shield protecting American industry turns into a double-edged sword? The instability and uncertainty in tariffs have created an extremely difficult environment for businesses. They can't plan production or predict how raw material costs will fluctuate in the near future. Many companies have started turning to more stable markets like Mexico, Vietnam, or Thailand to avoid risks and maintain operations. Tariffs are no longer just numbers. They are major barriers that make every production and investment plan tangled and uncertain. How long do you think this policy can last before its negative effects spread even further? Direct impact on major companies and consumers. Let's take a look at 5 American giants facing heavy pressure from tariffs. Walmart, the leading retailer, openly admits tariffs are squeezing profits. They've raised prices on everything, from essentials to electronics, while cutting thousands of orders and suspending contracts with some suppliers. General Motors and Ford, the automotive giants, withdrew financial forecasts due to unpredictable raw material costs. Ford halted some production lines. GM cut investment plans. Harley-Davidson, the iconic motorcycle maker, moved production to Thailand to avoid import tariffs as high as 60% in key markets. Caterpillar, a construction machinery leader, suffered a $350 million loss in one quarter due solely to tariffs. Their CEO is considering downsizing domestic production to survive. Nike raised prices by $2 to $10 per pair of shoes due to import tariffs from Vietnam, forcing cuts in promotional programs. With prices rising and products shrinking, how do you think American consumers will react going forward? Widespread impact on labor market and supply chains. Tariffs not only challenge businesses, but also directly affect workers and the national supply chain. Many factories have been forced to shut down or cut staff. Contracts are canceled, transportation activities shrink, supply chains break down, and prices keep rising. Do you know that those hardest hit are factory workers and small businesses who rely entirely on stable supply chains to make a living? A policy intended to protect the economy. But is it unintentionally sacrificing essential opportunities and rights of the labor market and consumers? Economic overview and an open question about the future. Tariffs are seen as a political weapon to boost domestic production, but what's the reality? They are causing deep and widespread damage to the U.S. economy. Many big companies are pulling out, not by choice, but to protect themselves from unpredictable policy shifts. Once factories and investments move abroad, is it easy for them to return? The answer is almost never. So, do you think this is the price America must pay for protectionist policies?
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump attended a campaign event in Pennsylvania Monday night, a roundtable where farmers and manufacturers expressed their concerns about the farming industry. It was here that Trump says farming company John Deere will have to pay strict tariffs if he was reelected.
600 people lose their jobs. Revenue drops by 18%. New machine sales fall by 40%. John Deere moves to Mexico, threatened with 200% tariffs. Costs rise by $500 million. Old machines become a lifeline. What's going on? The shock from an agricultural icon, John Deere, a nearly 200-year-old name that once symbolized the strength of American agriculture, is now retreating in its own homeland. On May 30th, the company quietly closed multiple factories in Iowa, Illinois, and several other states. 600 workers lost their jobs, and sadly, some only found out via email. Just a few days later, in Pennsylvania, amidst applause at a campaign rally, Donald Trump declared that, if re-elected, all John Deere products manufactured in Mexico and brought back to the U.S. would be hit with a 200% tariff. A strong warning? Perhaps. But John Deere had already acted. They didn't wait for anyone to signal red. They pulled the plug themselves, right where their production heart once beat. No more guessing, no more rumors. This is the truth. Clear, with numbers, with people. While politics continued to argue, the workers silently left. Struggling farmers, old machines. Take the lead. It's not just the factories closing. Out on the fields, everything is changing as well. New machine prices are soaring, tariffs are piling up, interest rates are sky high. American farmers have no other choice. They are forced to return to machines that are 10 to 15 years old. Old machines suddenly become a lifeline. Sales of new machines dropped more than 40% in just 3 months. A troubling figure. But it doesn't stop there. A basic hydraulic hose, a fundamental component, now takes up to 6 weeks to be available. During the growing season, a 6-day delay can ruin an entire season, let alone 6 weeks. And then that fear spreads. From the fields to the co-op boardrooms, from factories to banks, it's no longer an economic crisis, it's a psychological crisis. The fear is creeping everywhere. Remember 2018? The trade war cost farmers over $27 billion in exports. And now that scenario is coming back. Faster, stronger, deeper. The reaction and the clash between policy and reality. Trump didn't stay silent in response to John Deere's actions. He declared, "Any company that moves jobs overseas deserves to be taxed to the bone." The audience applauded loudly. The crowd cheered with excitement. But inside the factory, the atmosphere was entirely different. No applause, no smiles, just silence, heavy with tension, and empty stares. Because they understood. They were stuck. On one side was the slogan, "Made in America." On the other, costs, tariffs, canceled orders, and a crippled supply chain. John Deere has not betrayed America. They remain committed to investing $20 billion in the U.S. over the next 10 years. But just this year, they've already incurred an additional $500 million in costs due to tariffs. Think about it. How can you invest in the future when you can't even survive the present? Standing at a crossroads. One path is loyalty with losses. The other is cutting back and surviving. What would you choose? The ripple effect spreading across the supply chain. Don't think this is just about John Deere. It's not. The system is shaking. In Minnesota, 3 major dealers canceled their annual sales events. In Nebraska, the co-op cut all financial support for purchasing equipment. Indiana is sounding the alarm. The farm foreclosure rate is skyrocketing at a pace not seen since the Great Depression. The agricultural production chain is not a series of isolated links. It's an interconnected system, from growers to factories to banks. One broken link and the whole system collapses. What's happening now is no longer a few cracks. This is a domino effect in motion, step by step, systematic. And now the question is no longer, how will John Deere manage? The question is, if such a huge corporation has to pull back to survive, then what chance do smaller businesses have to stay afloat?
That's right. The news here being that the Trump administration has told U.S. chip designers to stop selling their software to Chinese groups. Now, that's according to the Financial Times.
The United States is set to announce new restrictions on China's access to its semiconductor technology. While not fully disclosed, some of the measures include curbs on shipments to China of chip-making equipment and AI chips. Min Soo Kyun has this report.
The U.S. strategy, controlling technology to maintain dominance. The Trump administration directed American companies to halt providing EDA software, an essential tool for chip design, to Chinese firms. These companies command over 70% of the global market for chip design software, especially in the field of AI chips. The goal is clear: to slow China's semiconductor development, block access to advanced technologies, and preserve America's leadership position. However, this policy also disrupts global supply chains and reduces revenue for American firms. It creates heightened political and trade tensions, raising concerns among businesses and investors about the long-term sustainability of the global supply network. China's resilience and remarkable progress. Despite the restrictions, China has made significant strides in chip technology in 2025. Notably, Chinese researchers announced breakthroughs in carbon nanotube transistors, improving performance and practical applications. DeepSeek, a Chinese company, developed the AI model DeepSeek-R 10528, boasting impressive cost efficiency and computational power. Although details on GPU counts and costs remain limited, China is investing heavily, with a budget of approximately $48 billion focusing on open architecture, risk-V designs, and domestic lithography technologies. This effort aims to reduce reliance on imported technology and build a self-sufficient semiconductor industry.